Welcome to the Nexus Unloaded podcast. This is Will Crozier.
And I'm Mikki Westcombe. We are the founders of Nexus Performance. Joining us on this wild ride is our heavyweight coaching team, ready to unleash their expertise to solve any problems in your journey to getting strong and jacked.
Through our real-world experience, we hope to break things down in a digestible, applicable, and entertaining way.
So pump up the volume and let's get into this. I wasn't recording!
He'll do it again anyways.
Ah!
He's get her, Bowser.
I can't record in these.
Hey, mate. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, she's just a big meanie. Do you want to? Here, let's move this back a little bit for you.
All right.
I told you he's a stage 5 clinger at the moment.
Getting all my content done now. Okay, I've got 2
He's
videos.
going to eat my headphones. Okay. We are back.
We are back.
All right, Bowser, you need to get down, mate. Off. Good boy. Yeah, I'll move over next to Jordan, and then you can sit here. Yeah, there you go. You got heaps of room. Sit down. All right. Looks like Bowser's really joining in on today's episode.
Special guest.
Special guest Bowie. Yeah, good boy. Oh, did you hear that? You big grumpers.
It's hard being a dog.
Yeah. He said, I have a really hard life. I have to protect the house. I have to bark at mum and dad.
Got to wear his bow tie every day.
Yeah, he's a fucking handsome boy, all right? He said, that's how I pick up bitches.
Literally, he does. The dog park.
Yeah. All right. Welcome back to episode 3 of the Nexus Unloaded podcast. We have got a pretty exciting episode today. Welcome to Jordan.
Thank you.
Coming on the potty today.
I know.
Whoop,
Braving it through these weathers to be here to talk to you all. I'm a hero.
So let's go through. We've got a couple of things that we want to get into first before we get into today's episode. The first one I think is probably just worth chatting about what's been going on with you lately and what you have coming up.
So coming up, I'm going to Japan, which I'm very excited about.
There we go.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Oops, okay. So me and Jared are taking some time off, and it's our first actual overseas holiday because we've been to Bali, but I don't think that counts.
No, that's like an Australia extension.
Yeah.
It's like going to Tasmania.
That's what I mean. I'm like, I don't think Bali counts. So first time overseas, which is very exciting. So we'll be going to Japan and traveling around and hiring a car. So I'm very
You're hiring a car while traveling around Japan.
Jared drive.
But you won't stay into a traditional
No. So we were going to stay in a traditional kind of style accom, but we didn't because there wasn't a lot of PowerPoints for Jared to charge all of his electronics.
Well done, Jared.
He'll probably hear this and be like, that's not what I said. But I'm like, that's totally what you said.
That's my interpretation
That's
of
my
it.
interpretation.
So.
But he will hire a car. So I'm like, whatever, we'll do that. But yeah, we'll go see Mount Fuji. We'll hang out in Tokyo. Jared will bring his camera. We'll get some cool photos.
Cool pickies.
Yeah, I'm very much so looking forward to that. So that's kind of what I've been gearing up for.
Okay.
And
how long? And then you're going to Cairns after.
Yeah. So I'm a firm believer in that anytime you go on a holiday, you need to have like a small holiday after the holiday to then get ready to go back to work.
But it's like the holiday after the holiday.
No, you need
is usually when you just get home and you just spend a couple of days chilling. But in your case, you're like, I'm going to go to another location, spend a couple of days chilling there, and then get home, have a couple of days chill.
No, so basically it's like Japan's going to be like, go. We go to Cairns and then that's my potato time.
Yeah.
And that's me getting used to the time zone. So I'm giving myself 3 days to get used to a couple of hours.
Japan's time zone is so massive.
I'm a drama queen. I was like, I need potato time. And then we get straight back in and then we're at the comp.
Yes, that is
my
true.
sister's competing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to handle her.
Yeah, love
which
that.
Will be
That'll
hard.
be fun.
So,
well, that's only in the novice category, right?
Yeah, but it's my sister.
I think Kima's got you down reffing in the APL. No, Bowser, you're not getting in the middle. Sit over here.
Has he? All right, well, I'll just copy whatever the person next to me pushes.
Jordan is going to be an exceptional ref, everybody, okay?
Yeah.
Don't listen to what she just said. But you also have a little bit of Japanesey as well, you speak.
Yeah, so I remembered a little bit from my high school days. I'm going to have to brush up on some things. But I remember like watashi no namae wa Jordan Sande. So like my name is Jordan.
Wow.
I remember wakarimasen, which is I don't understand. So I think that's going to be my main phrase that I use when I'm there. Just I don't understand.
What?
Wakarimasen. And then I know how to ask how to go to the toilet, but I won't. I
How do you
repeated
say-
that. I've said that on a podcast previously. It was like
Okay.
toilet ni itemo ii desu ka? I was like, can I please go to the toilet?
Yeah, that's really important. Number
So
one
I
or
just
number
know
two?
the oh my god, I'm looking forward to the toilets. I'll have the seat warmers, and then you can make the.
You're going
Yeah.
to get flushed
I've
up the
never
butt?
done that before, but
You're
what
gonna
I
do it.
what I
totally
did as a
would.
kid, me and my friend we went for school back when I was 16. We put it on full blast and then pushed it, and it shot up to the ceiling, and then water actually went all over us. And it's on my old YouTube channel. We're like screaming, and there's like water coming down from the ceiling.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway.
Okay. Well, welcome to an insight to Jordan's brain there.
That's
But you're
what
gonna,
we're
I
gonna
can
do.
just see you like blasting up.
blasting water into the ceiling.
Just don't put it on max pressure when you use it as a bidet.
I'm scared. Probably not. I won't
You'd
do
probably
that.
be too scared to use it anyway.
Probably like, what does this do? And Jared's like,
But all right. So, couple of updates on me.
yes, you've got way more than me. Go on.
Oh, well, I kind of touched on it in one of our other episodes. Obviously, bump. Baby. We don't know the gender. I'm going to answer these questions that I get
In the gym.
probably on the daily.
Go.
That people, even though I've already had this conversation with them, still ask me. Like, I don't know
Is this
why.
a hint? Stop asking.
So, okay. We don't know the gender.
Yep. Okay. Will you find it out, or will it be a
No,
surprise?
we're not finding out.
Okay.
We are
Everyone,
not
it's
finding
gonna
out
be
the
a surprise.
gender. We will find out on the day. I do not want to know. It doesn't make a difference anyways. When people ask me, oh, it's positioned here and you've experienced these things, it must be a girl or it must be a boy, I don't care.
You're like, I don't want to know.
Because everyone's pregnancy is so friggin' different. Like one of your old clients, Lois,
Yep.
she's about a month ahead of me, and she knows that she's having a boy and is having a fantastic pregnancy. I saw her deadlift like 140 for triples the other
She's
day.
been like
Fucking
squatting and
bitch.
deadlifting.
Yeah, training like normal. My first trimester, I was really, really sick, and
you
was
had vom PBs,
I was
not lifting
vomiting
PBs.
like a fucking trooper. And then some people are like, oh, it looks like you're carrying lower, so it must be a boy. But I'm like, if they're gauging off all these other things, then, you know, it might be a girl. So I just don't play into any of it whatsoever. Some
Yeah.
people are like, oh, you have been really, really sick, and that means that you must have a lot more hair on this. Like, this baby must have a lot more hair than
What?
I know.
This baby might have 3 eyes because you've been really sick.
No, it's like apparently the hormone that it makes to grow hair makes you sick, and I don't know. Yeah, exactly. I'm not looking into
Yeah, I
any of
think
this
that's
sort of
too much
stuff.
of a
It's
head
all
fuck.
like, yeah, it's like I don't care. All my scans, everything shows that I have a healthy baby, and that is all that matters to
Yeah.
me. I'm growing at a normal rate now. So they did like the measure of like the top of my tummy down to my pubic bone, and basically I would expect to grow a centimeter every week from
I
there.
didn't realize they could do stuff like
Yeah,
that.
so they kind of like squeeze you and see where the baby is, and then from that
Ugh.
point down to your pubic
Ugh.
bone based on that measure.
feel
Jordan's
sick.
so creeped
I
out by
feel
my belly
sick.
at the moment. I was like, woo,
I was like,
earlier.
oh.
And then it's like big belly. Yeah. John Breen messaged me the other day because I was doing chest supported rows, and he's like, does that not hurt? I'm like,
I saw that and thought the same thing.
it's not like, it's just a big belly.
Yeah.
That's all it kind of is. I'm like, it's not
I feel
too
like it'd be really hard though. Like it would.
It is.
hurt.
Yeah, it gets
Yeah.
really hard. It's more my boobs that hurt. But anyways, yeah. Next update. The due date is June 14th. Just so everyone
June
knows.
14.
Yeah,
Okay.
mid-June.
Cool. Mid-June.
Right.
That's right in the middle of the year. It's like
Yep.
literally
Yeah, right after your comp.
winter solstice.
Yeah.
Oh my God. My
It's a
secret.
winter baby. Everyone's like, oh, you're having what are star signs? I don't know. I don't follow star signs. Gemini? They're like, oh, you're having a Gemini baby.
I think
I'm
it's
like,
a Gemini because I'm a Taurus and I'm May, so it'd
I
be the
don't-
next one.
I don't
Apparently, they're
follow
good with
star signs.
communication.
Oh, really? Well, that's me for sure. But see, I'm a Pisces. I only know my star sign
Are you
because
the water? You're the water one.
yeah, I'm a fish.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
I think. Oh no, is that Aquarius?
I don't know. I don't know.
know.
See, I don't get into stars.
These crystal girls are gonna be like, Jordan doesn't know shit.
Nah, I put my belly out in the moon and I charge it overnight. I don't get into any of that sort of stuff. I'm just like, if it's healthy and I'm healthy and I'm able to eat food and I'm able to keep everything down, we good.
Yeah.
Okay. Next updates. Melbourne. Obviously we announced that in episode 1. How's that going to move?
This is very exciting, guys. I don't think you understand the gravity of this. Like, Melbourne, like I'm just like, I wish, you know what I mean? This would have been amazing when I was in Melbourne. This is so fucking
because
exciting.
it would have been convenient for you too, right?
Yes. There is a huge market opportunity. I've been thinking this.
Okay, give me your thoughts on Melbourne.
No, but when we moved up here, I was like, there's an opportunity for a gym in the Gold Coast.
Okay.
And then when we were in the Gold Coast, I was like, there's an opportunity for a gym in like that. Sorry, I nearly said the area. Like that
Catchment
area
zone
of Melbourne.
Yep.
And then you guys are like, oh yeah, been there, done that. Like, oh yeah, we're building a gym here. And now you're like, oh yeah, we're doing that in Melbourne. And I'm just like, oh my God.
Wow.
Seriously.
Wizards.
Literally.
Okay, so I am going to announce a location area.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because though we are already putting offers in on locations, nothing has been like 100%. Like there's a process to this, legal documents.
It's like buying a house.
Yeah, it takes a little bit of time, back and forth, solicitors, all that sort of stuff. And so the area that we are going to announce is like North Melbourne.
Like
is
north,
that right?
Yeah, like
Northeast,
like
northwest.
can we say some suburb
Okay.
areas?
Yeah. All right. So Brunswick.
Around Brunswick.
Up a little bit north, potentially a little bit over towards like Moonee Ponds.
Like northwest. So
Yeah.
Moonee Ponds is like inner northwest.
I don't know suburbs. I'm relying on you here.
Yeah, whereas like north is Brunswick, and then maybe a bit higher than Brunswick. Would you go up like Thornbury, or is that too far up?
Yeah, like Thornbury, Coburg, that sort of area.
Yeah.
I don't want to go like north, like any
too
further
far
north.
because
Ideally, like Brunswick.
Yeah,
that's my sort of sweet spot.
And then is the lower end of that zone like North Melbourne,
Carlton,
area?
and that sort of stuff? Is that around there?
That's like inner.
Yeah. I feel like that's maybe a little bit too inner city for because Geordie, our business partner, who's going to be obviously running the space down there, it's making sure that it accommodates him, his clientele, and that it's not too much of an inconvenience there. But yeah, so there it is.
So exciting.
Location.
That's a huge opportunity.
Yeah,
so many
pretty
people.
excited.
Yeah.
We, like I said, nothing has been 100% locked in, but if you are in Melbourne and you're in that catchment zone, I say catchment zone, it's like
a school.
Yeah.
I mean,
you can obviously expect some pretty sick things to come.
Yep.
We're not going to announce any open dates or anything like that at this stage, because obviously that's all still pending things that transpire over the coming months. But there you go, some more updates on Melbourne. What else have we got? I think that'll keep us that keeps us covered. Oh my gosh, Bowser. Let's get into today's episode.
Yes, this is a good one.
Oh my god. Fuck. Boy, he's stage 5 clinger. Mummy's boy. Okay. So, what have we got on today's episode? We are talking about motivation in the off season. Yeah. So, for quite a few people, when this is obviously going live, we're pretty heavy into comp season right now. Yep. Like we're start of the year, March, April, May.
State comps,
regional comps, that sort of stuff, and then getting ready for nationals. Exactly. But for some people that maybe don't qualify for nationals or don't make it, for those of you who are not watching on the YouTube and just listening, Bowser is just like climbing all over us at the moment. So he's been a big sookie bum. but yeah, so for those who maybe don't qualify for nationals or don't see that on their radar, you'll probably be moving into an off season, and may not be looking to compete until the end of the year, like
Yeah.
November, December,
Yeah.
or something like that. Or maybe you don't want to compete at all.
Just take
So-
some bit of time away, or maybe you're rehabbing an injury or
Yep.
something, and you're just taking some time away from competing.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of different things that are kind of going on here, and we want to talk about how to stay motivated. In the off season in regards to their nutrition.
Yeah.
Not looking specifically at the training side of things, because I find majority of the people listening in on this probably already have
A lot of
consistency with their training, and nutrition is one of the things that always is a bit of a back burner. And so we want to address that. So I'll let you kick it off for us.
Well, I guess from like a coaching perspective, I think a
Yep.
question some people might have is like, well, how do you keep people excited about nutrition when maybe they're not competing for a few months' time? Like, what do you work on with those people? Because for a lot of the time, I know people kind of flick a switch when it's comp prep. It's like, all right, let's start nailing all these things.
Yep.
But then it's like, well, is it realistic for someone to kind of have that same maybe like intensity when it comes to nutrition and dialing things in when there's maybe a longer period of time between their competition? So like, how do you find that balance for the person, and how do you keep it engaging, and how do we find some things to kind of work on or work towards if you have like a 6-month, 12-month, 18-month kind of block between competitions?
Yeah, definitely. Even like are we talking like between competitions or between competition preps? Like, because if you're even like if it's a month or so, for some people, like if they're competing around March and then they've got like a month to 6 or 8 weeks or whatever where there's a little bit of a break and then they're going back into another comp prep, like even that like 6 to 8 week window, a lot of people can really kind of fall off the rails and
It's
be silly
interesting you
with.
say that, because my brain doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you mean?
Yeah, what do you mean?
It's only 4 weeks. Let's go.
We're going from one prep into another prep.
But that's true, because for some people, they might. I know we encourage people to maybe take a few days off, kind of relax, focus on maybe enjoying a few things. But then for some people, that 1 week might slip into 2, 3, and then before you know it, we're struggling to kind of build that consistency back up.
Yes.
By the time comp rolls around. So that's a really good point, and something I didn't even think consider.
About. Yeah. Well, I mean, like I'm going to jump ahead a little bit here in the notes that we've got, but we have, we do like to clearly outline like timelines of this sort of stuff. So I think even just saying like, if it's that 1 week, just be like, hey, look, it's a week, decompress, chill out.
This is what I want you to do.
We're going to have a phone call and then we'll set up a plan moving forward for what we want to do.
As a coach, from our perspective, that's how we create that like balance for someone without burning them out in that scenario.
Yeah, definitely.
But we're holding them accountable by saying, hey,
you
got a week.
Yeah, definitely. It's just chill out time.
Yeah.
All right. Now, if they are in that situation where it's like 3 to 6 months between a next prep starting, so in a prep, let's just throw out the arbitrary number of 12 weeks or something like that. So you got three months until your next 3-month prep into comp.
Yep.
So what are some of the things that we want to do? The first note that we've got here is trying to find wins in other areas. So, and other areas of life. So obviously, you've just come out of a comp prep and you've had back-to-back wins with like PBs, and that's really motivating. And it's all, you've maybe had a successful comp and you've hit some awesome outcomes and whatever, but we want to be focusing on other things, to keep you moving forward, because you're not necessarily going to have that like hit of hitting a PB every single week or whatever, right? So we've talked about like having different training markers to monitor and manage, like just general enjoyment in your training. And finding like things that you suck at and getting good at them again and stuff like that, I think is really important. Like when you embrace the suck and then you see the growth and the change and the improvements, like that's something that's really awesome. But also we talked about just like different nutrition strategies, right? So if someone has used a meal plan for that entire 12-week prep coming into comp or something, being able to find success or use different strategies like creating freedom and flexibility yet having control through macro tracking. Or one of my clients who's a weightlifter, competed around October, November last year, and then her most recent comp isn't like the big comp is not until April.
Yep.
So she was someone that in the entire time of our working together was really rigid. Was like, I follow the meal plan religiously. I know how to track, and I'll like have an occasional tracked meal off the meal plan, but I was always on that meal plan.
Yeah.
And I could see this being a potential issue long term.
Yeah.
And so, we were coming into Christmas time. I was like, well, this is a perfect opportunity for us to actually learn some of the skills around intuitive eating.
Yeah.
And having some habit-based goals and things like that, and finding momentum and wins there.
Yep.
And at which point now, like, she's got those skills lifelong, right?
Yeah,
so she now is no longer having the fixed, rigid approach of a meal plan to guide her through every prep or every strategy that she wants to use moving forward. She can implement these other things. And I think that's going to make her a better human being long term. That's coming back to like having some food freedom, being happier, being able to have holidays and downtime and stuff like that.
And the way I use that too with clients is like, use this as an opportunity to explore different cooking methods and styles and like flavors. So then when we do maybe down the line have to go back into this more like rigid approach, like you can pull from like these fun foods that you've experienced. You can start making things a bit more enjoyable for yourself later as well.
Yeah, definitely. I just think, like we said, it's like finding wins and success in other areas. So that also comes down to like your career. It could be like some traveling. We talked about relationships and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, it depends on the person too. So some people like they might be quite focused and they want to focus more on their nutrition and how they can improve that. Whereas some people, might be like, you know what, I've been neglecting my social life. I haven't really been seeing my friends. I've been pretty like, hermit over the last few like months with back-to-back comps. I want to spend more time with them.
Yeah.
And I think that's also going to help them be a better athlete because like they can manage like stress. I think it's like important.
It comes down to stress management.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I see that as like, a form of stress management and just being a happier human.
Yeah.
Which I think then helps them when they move back into comp prep. Like you're not miserable and feeling socially isolated. Like
definitely. But you can also learn different social outlets that you can implement in a prep, right? Like realizing that socializing and filling your social cup doesn't necessarily have to mean going out and eating out
or
and
going
stuff
on a
like
bender.
that. Yeah, like it could be other activities that you do that you're like, fuck, that was really enjoyable. I can implement this in a prep and not have any consequences to my training or to my nutrition or whatever. And I can use that as a stress outlet moving forward as well in my preps.
Because I think stress outlets is a big one that we talk about with clients, but it's like, something like Top Golf.
Yeah.
Going on a picnic.
Yeah. When I was in Melbourne, I had a smash room and I just like smashed shit for a day. And that was really fun.
And you might then be like, you know what, next time you're really stressed or in a comp prep scenario, go to the smash room with your mates, have a freaking fun day out.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't have to be around food or eating out or any of that sort of stuff, but it's still socializing and interacting with people or not.
I guess in a way, that's what I've started badminton.
Yeah.
And that's my like social thing on the weekend now that I've been doing.
Yeah, but it's like crazy activity for you, isn't it? Don't you run around like a headless shook out there?
I just sweat a lot anyway. So
okay. Yeah. All right. So what's the next point we've got here? We've got the on-off analogy.
Yeah. So this is, I guess, something we were talking about before off air, where you want to avoid treating nutrition as something that you just focus on in a comp prep scenario.
Yes.
And that once that comp's done, you kind of forget about it.
Yeah.
And I see this happen with nutrition. Like training, I think, is something people would just keep.
It's more habitual.
Yeah. Whereas
whether they train as hard as what they did is a different story, but they still show up.
They still show up. Whereas with nutrition, I think some people completely just let things fall to the wayside. And it's like, well, no, like what are your...
To their waistline.
Is that what you say? So I think like what we mean by treating nutrition as a dial is kind of like maybe setting the benchmark a little lower so you have a bit more freedom and flexibility and you're maybe not putting the mental strain on yourself. I think when people are kind of being rigid, it's a lot of the mental side of being rigid too. Whereas with turning the dial down or setting different benchmarks, you're still hitting markers to help you with your health and your recovery, but maybe we're not putting too much focus and attention on everything, like weighing everything.
Yeah, like the example that I use a lot is like we're dimming the knob, we're not turning the lights off. Like the building is still lit,
Yeah.
We're just not turning the lights off.
Yeah.
And a lot of people just turn the lights off, walk out the door, and then they just don't address it until they need to. And as we've got here, like trying to regain that momentum after that time off can take a really long time. And you've lost that. So like if you've gotten sick because your nutrition has been piss poor, well, there's a week or whatever that you're down because you've been sick, and now you're trying to get back into training or get back into eating well. That might take a week where you can kind of like get some habits and stuff like that going again. And it's not until week 2 or week 3 after being sick that you're actually back to where you were prior to getting sick. So just setting some, as you've mentioned there, some lower benchmarks with your nutrition, not being so rigid and so fixed all the time, but still having some level of consistency is going to minimize the risks of getting sick or having injuries or all that sort of stuff as well.
The aim is to keep you healthy and in the gym, and nutrition is the backbone of that.
Yes.
And I think too, like turning the dial down is dependent on the person. Like I've got some people on my roster, turning the dial down for them would be rigid for someone else.
Yes.
So this is where it's about
perspective.
Yeah. And it's also about figuring out, okay, like for you what are you happy with? What are your comfortable, like non-negotiables, what we were talking about before? And it's kind of setting those up and being honest with yourself too.
Yeah.
And sticking with them.
Yeah, absolutely. And then utilizing like different pockets of time where you'll have a holiday where you can be a little bit more like freedom and fun and stuff like that. But again, still have some non-negotiables on your holiday. I know you're still planning on training whilst you're away. All that sort of stuff, because obviously you'll be in prep. Maybe you'll have more food freedom, but you won't have the same level of like control on your food, because you simply just won't be able to. You'll be in a different place all the time.
Sorry. I don't want this.
But I'm sure you've still got some kind of standard around like, I want to make sure that I hit like more protein dense options. I want to be looking for more fruits and vegetables whilst I'm away. I'm going to like have certain non-negotiables or certain expectations, but the benchmark is just a little bit lower.
Definitely. And the way I love this saying, it's like structure creates freedom. So I see myself as very structured when I control things that I can.
Yeah.
I'm just like that. I like that. But then I also know that because I've built that up and I've been so consistent, I can take these 3 weeks and not stress about it.
Yeah. It's not going to be detrimental to your performance in the big picture. Yeah, it might be in the short term.
Exactly.
And you might come back feeling a little bit like, ugh.
I'll come back and be like, shit, I'm peaking. And like, that was a weird prep, but it is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. But your expectations for this prep are also a little bit different to what it would be if they were nationals 100%. Or something too.
Yeah, 100%. So it's like, having the minimum markers that I've got, which will just be like movement, protein, gym when I can.
Make sure I'm sleeping.
But obviously not sacrifice like my time with Jared while I'm there, because I'm like, that's a once in a lifetime holiday for us. And I'm not going to be like, sorry, like the gym.
I'm in prep, bro.
First.
Yeah. I'm in prep, bro. Like priorities.
Don't talk to me. I'm 6 weeks out.
Exactly. So, I guess the biggest thing that we've got here is just controlling the controllables, and then nutrition is one of those things that you absolutely have control over. And life is always going to have things come up that are going to try and be a roadblock for that success. So sometimes you just need to take detours to get around it, but like, and it might be a little bit longer than the highway that you're originally looking to take, but it's not to say that that is not going to come back around and still get you back on track.
And like something that we could think about then is like, okay, well, what's the next best thing? If I can't do this, what's the next best thing? And then just keep going down that list until you find an option that fits.
Society now is made following decent nutrition really fucking easy for us now. Like you can go down to Coles and Woolies and buy pre-made salad bags and ready-made meals and fresh fruit and vegetables and all that sort of stuff. Like it's really quite easy for people to be able to do that, to a point where you can do a click and collect if you're coming back from holidays and you don't have time to go grocery shopping because you've got to start work the next day and your flight lands at 6 p.m. Do a click and collect or a drop off order or something, so you get home and your groceries are there. There is literally no reason why you can't. And you can do that while sitting in the airport waiting to board your flight. Society has made it so easy for us to do that. People just don't think through that lens though.
No. And something that like could also, talk about slow cooker all the time, but it's like, come home, click and collect, order your shit, chuck in a slow cooker, go to bed, wake up 10 minutes earlier the next day, portion it out.
Yeah, you're done. Yeah,
Like-
exactly. And I mean, like, to us, this is like, duh, but it's not always that easy. And that is our role as a coach
To
to
kind of-
help navigate and present these different options to people.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like, do you want to come home and cook? Nah, I can't be fucked, man. I'm getting
Right.
home at 10 o'clock at night.
Muscle
I just want to
chef
go to
meal.
bed. Cool. Let's make sure that you've got some ready-made meals and maybe an apple or a banana or a piece of fruit that's grab and go.
But then,
I dare say that your pantry has probably still got protein powder or oats or something in it that is not going to go off. That having some oats and some protein powder and some frozen berries in the fridge, so that when you come home, depending on the length of the trip, if it's just a long weekend or something, you can come home and still make something with that is like reasonably nutritious. So again, like, don't overcomplicate it, and by being better planned and prepared, regardless of what the outcomes are, like if you have that sort of stuff accessible for you, whether you're in prep or in an off season or whatever, like, that's going to help keep people consistent.
Let's be real, the fitness industry is flooded with coaching programs, all using the same buzzwords: comprehensive, tailored, individualized, super confusing. What does that actually mean for you? At Nexus Performance, we cut through the shit. We take the time to actually understand your struggles, what drives you, what's holding you back, and then we coach you through it. With our online strength coaching, you're not getting a templated program. Your training program is built around you. You're also going to be getting one-on-one consult calls, Loom video feedback, direct messaging for coaching cues and questions, so you know exactly what to do and how to do it. If that sounds like the support that you've been looking for, let's make it happen. Visit our website today for weekly or monthly programming support.
Now, I think it's probably worth mentioning, how do we actually keep them invested in this? Because we've given a few different options and strategies now, but like, some people just can't be fucked, right? Because they're so externally motivated. So we talked about this, the fact that yourself and Will and even myself, like, we're not looking for external motivators. We're very intrinsically motivated. And this is just part of the lifestyle, the habits and the routines that we have just created. So for us, it sounds like common sense, but for a lot of people out there, naturally it isn't. So, you know, we want to be looking at how you become intrinsically motivated.
Yeah. And this is a question I literally just ask. I was like, how? I've never actually had this conversation with someone before and actually said, like, how do you become?
Well, no one's asked you that, because everything that we've gotten written down here is just what we teach.
Exactly. And I think I've talked to people about elements of like finding your why. And I think that's at the core of how you become intrinsically motivated, because your why is kind of like the driver behind the things you do each day, the processes that you go through. That just become habitual and part of like who you identify as. Like, I wake up, I go to the gym, because that's identify as someone that goes to the gym. Love powerlifting, love improving. Understand nutrition plays a really big role in how I feel and how I perform, and that's why I care about it. But it's like,
I just want to wake up and feel good, and so like naturally that's compelling enough for me to want to do it.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it comes
finding
down
things that like actions, like outcomes that are really desirable as well, or the process that is really desirable, you're going to be more compelled to want to keep following that.
And I think something else too, to be really to cover as well, is like, not every day we're going to wake up wanting to do these things. It's about also understanding that, okay, I may not want to do this now, but I know in long term it's going to help me with getting to where I want to be. And this is where we talked about like delayed gratification and self-talk. And
I'm really, really big on that.
Yeah. Do you want to take this? I think you should talk about this.
Yeah, because I at the moment, or even in my first trimester, I was so sick. I literally didn't want to get out of bed. I was like,
that's weird for you.
Yeah, because I'm such a morning person. Like, I'm waking up usually like before the alarm sort of thing. And I know you do as well, but I am such a morning person, and I love my morning routines. Like taking this boy down to the park, having our coffee, like it's literally like how I set my day up for success. Like some people, like I'm like, maybe put some music on, and like, you know, have a bit of a dance around the house, or play some good vibes or whatever. But like, when I was going through that phase where I literally did not want to get out of bed, I was like, if I don't do this, if I don't get up, I'm only going to keep feeling sorry for myself. And I remember the times that I don't get up and I'm like, I'm really like in our meetings, I'm like, I'm just a bit sluggish, I'm slow, and it takes me like that little bit longer to kind of wake up, and it just pushes everything back in my day. Whereas like if I do get up, I'm not going to feel any worse than what I feel right now. Like I might not necessarily feel better, but I'm probably not going to feel any worse. And so but the likelihood of me feeling better is far more if I were to get up and I go for a little walk and I do my little morning routines.
Do the harder thing.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, if I still feel crappy when I get home, like I give myself permission to be able to rest if I need to as well. So it's just like I tried, I gave it a crack.
Still not feeling
I'm
it.
still not feeling it. That's okay. Like I'm just going to take it a little bit slower today, rather than just using it as an excuse of just being lazy.
That's where the self-talk and honesty comes in.
Yep.
Like not beating yourself up for being like, oh, like I suck. I got up, went for a walk, and I still feel like shit. Today's going to be crap, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's one of those days.
Yeah,
we tried.
exactly. You know what? Like I gave it a crack and I just didn't get the outcomes that I was hoping for, but it's not necessarily made me feel any worse by staying in bed and feeling sorry for myself either.
And I think it's the clients that I have that have this.
Yeah.
Are the ones that are usually the ones that like long-term apply themselves into all different kind of the things that they care about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you can see there's a difference. And I think like
people think like self-talk is all woo-woo and stuff like that, but it literally is just like get the fuck up, get out of bed, get these things done because you'll feel better if you do. And if you don't, you're probably going to feel like shit.
Yeah.
And that's okay too. Yeah. But like just understand the consequences for your outcome, like for those actions. Like if I don't do this, if I, like we talked about it this morning, if I read this book, I may not want to get started on my work stuff because I'll be so hooked into the book that I'm reading. But if I get the work stuff over and done with and I get it done sooner, then I'll have more free time later to be able to do that. So it's like understanding the consequences. If I read this book and I get hooked into it, I'm not going to take action on my work tasks that I need to get done. And that's going to like cause more stress for me later.
In the day.
And all that sort of stuff. And then you've got here like viewing challenges as opportunities to grow, not obstacles.
Yeah. So I think we're talking about before, like, you know, sometimes things come up and you're allowed to kind of be annoyed or upset about it, but also recognize that, okay, though this didn't go my way now, there's an opportunity for me to improve X, Y, Z. So like maybe someone had a shitty comp day experience. Yes, you're allowed to be upset about it. You can kind of be a bit down, but then it's like, okay, well, what can I do better in my off season or what can I improve on? And not just like technical, like lifting stuff. What are things outside of your training?
What are all the factors that influence your performance that you need to look at here?
Maybe you failed some lifts and your mindset, you know, going and that led to some, you know, sad meals, some like, and then it's like, okay, well, maybe I need to learn to regulate my emotions better and not turn to food as a source of comfort and not beat myself up if I have a shit training session. Yeah. Like there's a lot you can take from.
Absolutely. And so this is something that I share with a lot of my clients because, you know, I've got quite a few roster clients on my roster at the moment that really like look up to Will and his accomplishments or his accolades or whatever. And Will's just like, it's just what he does. It's how his brain ticks. Like he's never had to think about this sort of stuff because it's just how he operates. It's like very autonomous for him.
Yeah.
And like one of the things that he says is like, how can I excel today? Because if I don't do this, someone else out there is. And I have set this expectation and this standard upon myself to win. I want to win. I love winning. Winning makes me feel really good.
I think that's okay to say. People don't like saying that.
No, fuck it. He's like, I want to fucking win. Yeah. I want to go to a comp and I want to beat everybody else there. And there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. Like there's nothing wrong with thinking that way and putting those sort of pressures on yourself, but also being okay if you don't. Like, what did Eric Helm say? Like, reach for the moon and if you land on the stars, that's okay.
Or the other way around.
Yeah, one of those. You get the point. It's like, reach for the stars.
It's like, you want to aim for the top of the top, but if you don't get there, like, are you going to be okay with that?
Yeah,
and the
so
way,
long as you've done everything that you
I'm like,
possibly
are
can.
you farting on me or something? Sorry, it's Bowser. Anyway.
Not me.
And the other thing that I thought about with that too is kind of like looking back, did you do everything that you could to the best of your ability?
Yeah.
And if the answer was yes, you did.
Yeah.
You have to be okay with
You
that.
have to be okay with the fact that someone maybe have just been better than you on the day, and that's fine. But yeah, so Will's a big believer that if I don't do this, someone else out there is, and if I want to win, I need to do what is required. I'm not just doing what I feel like or what I think is needed. I'm doing what is required of me to be the best. And I've said that to many people over the years and stuff, and they're really like, oh fuck yeah, like, do I actually want to do this? Like, am I willing to commit myself as much to this, or am I okay with just like not quite getting there?
Expectations and then set your non-negotiables and your bench line, and that's kind of like how you go through this process.
So when we do have long time frames between competitions, or maybe we're just having one comp a year, like here's a few important things we want to look at. And the first one is like setting up your environment and building that support network. So expressing your goals, your aspirations to your coach, so that they can support you and create a framework for you to work from, but also then encourage environmental things that you can do or change in your house to keep that success moving forward.
And maybe have the people alongside you jump on board and do some of the behaviors and actions that you want to do, or just make them allies. So I guess keep talking to them so they can keep you accountable as well.
Like if Will turned to me and said like, I want to I want to start putting on some weight and I want to compete at the end of the year, and those few other goals that he's set. The other day, he's not been eating like consistently lately. Like he's been missing a couple of meals and stuff like that. And the other day it was like 3:00 in the afternoon or 4:00, and he was about to go to the gym to start coaching some people. I was like, have you had lunch today? Have you had a meal? And he's like, oh, I've had like my snacky stuff, like all my snacky foods. I didn't have my meal because my breakfast was pushed back later. And and I was like, no, unacceptable. I was like, you need to eat because you're about to be gone for the next 2 or 3 hours. You're not going to have access to any of that sort of thing. You're going to come home tired, grumpy, like hangry. Like, you need to get your shit together, man. And I literally said that to him. I was like, you need to get your shit together. There's no reason why you can't have breakfast before you start doing your client work in the morning. So sit down, eat your food before you get to the PC, have your breakfast, and that's going to allow you to set your day up. So like, I'm calling him out on his shit. Like, he's expressed his goals to me and I'm holding him accountable to that. And that's not me being a bitch or a coach, because I'm not coaching him at the moment. I'm just keeping him accountable to the expectations that he set.
You support
exactly. All right. So a few other things we've got here is some examples of how we've mapped out like people's comp seasons and their calendars. And I think that's like just the planners that we've got. Right?
So I think too, for people to visually see how the year looks, because one year sounds long. But then when you sit someone down and you talk about, okay, maybe we want to go through like a surplus, and then you're going on a holiday here, and okay, maybe we do a bit of a diet block here. The year's gone. Like, it's actually not that long to kind of do like lots of stuff. So I think when people see it, they're like, oh shit. That's actually not that long. I'm like, there's not a lot of time to stuff. Like,
exactly. It's like you don't actually have as much time to grow and put on muscle mass as what you anticipated. Because maybe you've got a month in Japan over here and your training might not be as hard or as consistent as what you would like it to be. And that's going to take away from this time over here. And that's going to influence the preps that follow after that. So we definitely like to build out like macro cycles, but then also looking at the little mini goals and stuff like that within that. So we've got here like volume PBs, weight trends, stacking wins, and all that sort of stuff is going to look different for each person.
And I find with a lot of my clients, we have chats about nutrition, but then we also talk about their training. I'm always asking like, what's your training looking like at the moment? Like, how you been feeling? And they'll be like, oh, it's just, not really doing much. Like, kind of not so excited about it. And I'm like, oh, what are you RDLing? And I had a client yesterday be like, oh, I'm almost up hitting like 100 kilo RDLs. I'm like, that's fucking sick. Like, that's a cool goal to have. Like, we're kind of like, let's find milestones within your training for you to celebrate, like weighted pull-ups, weighted dips, whatever it might be. Like, celebrate that. Because people also kind of get down on themselves for being weaker when they're not
They're not
necessarily
1
weaker.
RM strong
Yeah,
year
they're just not
round.
1 RM strong. So it's like, nah, like let's find like this is still you.
Oh, the volume PBs I think is a really big one
So
there
I think
for athletes.
hyping people up with that stuff too,
Yeah.
I do a lot to kind of build that excitement into their training.
Yeah.
While also obviously talking about nutrition.
And as we mentioned, like embracing the suck and knowing that they're like that
will
weight is going to, or you're going to see improvements in technical efficiency or whatever.
That's what I think whenever I'm doing my Bulgarian splits off. I'm like, this is going to build a better squat.
I'm going to have a dump truck after this for
my
sure.
leg muscles are going to be even between left and right.
And then we've got like other general health markers. So
Yes.
like, you know, improving your conditioning and like we've talked about social life imbalances and relationship with food and all that sort of stuff as well.
Yeah.
Like looking at addressing all those other things in between competitions is going to help.
Yeah, just making them an all-round better balanced human.
Yeah.
That's kind of the other.
And that's going to make them a better athlete because like if you're dead, then you're not a really good athlete, are you?
Well, you want to be a happy athlete too, not
Yeah.
a sad, socially isolated,
No one wants to see you as
resentful.
a sad sack in the corner.
You don't want to be resentful, I think. Like you don't
Yeah.
want to be like burning yourself out in your off season and getting to the comp prep and then being like, I fucking hate this.
Yeah,
So-
exactly. You don't even want to do it. And then that's where like you have those conversations like what does a successful off season look like to you? What do you hope to achieve in your next comp? Like what is the low hanging fruit that we can address now that's going to have the biggest outcomes?
Yes.
So a lot of people like to like jump to like, oh, I think I should be taking these supplements and this
Oh my God.
this stuff and whatever. And I understand that. Like whenever I onboard a new client,
They
it's literally
always
within the
ask
first like
supplements.
2 to 3
Yes.
weeks, they're
Yeah.
always like, oh, like what supplements should I take? I'm like, well, have you had your blood test done yet? They're like, oh,
No.
no. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to just list off. Like I have a base
We have
supplement
base, like,
stack.
Fish oil is always a general.
Fish oil, multivitamin,
yeah.
NAC, whatever. Like there's
Yeah.
a few basic things that I always just generally recommend. But I'm like, I'm not going to have you jump on, place an order, and then in another 2 weeks' time, jump on and place another order because you've finally taken the initiative to get your bloods done. Like, let's actually have a look at where the fuck things are sitting. What do we need to improve on? And then use that information to make the right decisions.
Also, too, to have people just go to their doctor and because some people have never done any
Just
of
a base
that
health
before,
checkup.
Just speak, have someone say to them, hey, like
Yeah.
cholesterol's high or your blood pressure's high, and then it's like we know then, okay, it's been pointed out.
Yeah.
We can help you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because sometimes coming from a nutritionist seems a little bit like, oh, yeah, cool. Like, I get that. But when it's coming from a GP or someone else
yeah.
as well, like that has a little bit more authority and is obviously within more of their scope,
100%.
that's a little bit more of a flag for them to go, oh, I should probably fucking address this and do
Yes.
the things that
That's
like
what
other people are saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I often find that like even if like Will tells me to do something and I'm like, yeah. And then someone else says, I'm like, oh, fuck, okay. Like other people are noticing this. I should probably do something about it.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So other things that we can look at between people's off seasons is if they're not wanting to change weight classes.
Yep.
That's a really common thing. If someone's, you know, at the moment we've got nationals qualifiers and stuff like that
so
going
I was
on.
gonna say,
If you've qualified for a weight class, you can't change.
Mm.
So how do we optimize someone's performance within that weight class?
This is one of my favorite things to speak about with people.
Okay.
I love this.
Okay.
I just think
Fire
it's
away,
fascinating.
Geordie.
No, well, we all know that like a body with a bit more muscle on it can produce more force, and as a powerlifter,
And you just look fucking sick too.
gone are the days where powerlifters are, you know, just
Man meats.
yeah. I didn't want to say anything mean, but you can say that.
Lobs. Big round
Mashed
kegs.
potato.
Yes, yeah, they're a lot more aesthetically pleasing.
Well, it ties into like being an athlete,
Yeah.
and I love this shit. Like, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Nutrition plays a big role here. We can work on, you know, putting on more muscle and paying more attention to kind of like eating a little bit more to support, or structuring their food in a way where they're really getting bang for their buck out of their training sessions, slowly making little changes over time, maybe going into a bit of a deficit, dropping a bit of body fat,
Yep.
allowing
Improving
more
body
space to
composition,
put on more muscle because we're tied to weight classes. Looking at recovery markers because we can only train as hard as you can recover. So if you're capitalizing on your recovery, you can push really hard in your training and build more muscle.
Yep.
So like stress management, sleep, diet quality, and like,
Yep.
you know, doing an audit, like what are the fruits and veggies I'm getting in? Am I swapping things around week to week? Some people
Yeah.
just eat the same shit of months, and I'm like, no, we need to mix things up, you
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah. Well, Will's guilty of that, but like he's even now this last week gone like, I'm going to go out and I'm going to buy some mushrooms and some spinach. I'm going to chuck it in my
on a
slow
pizza.
cooker. No. Pizza.
Monday night pizza night, spinach mushrooms.
In his slow cooker, he's just added on top.
Yum.
And then he has his extra veggies that he puts on top of that when he serves it all out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's like just being like, all right, how can I expand on my current veggie intake? So I think he's eating like 7 or 8 different types of vegetables.
Yeah.
And he has like 5 or 6 different types of fruits he eats a day. So,
That's
like,
awesome.
you know, he's tick a couple more
think,
boxes that he's like, I can do better here.
Yeah, for me, it's like adding more nuts and seeds into my diet. That was the thing that I've been adding more quality fats and building that up.
Well, he's got packets of almonds in the fridge all the time. And he like pours extra virgin olive oil over the top of his things. Yeah. And he eats raw avocados.
Yeah.
Like that's,
yum.
Yeah, that's his like little like,
that's what
I'm
he's
ticking
doing.
my boxes here.
So like it's shit like that, like little thing. But I think it's exciting.
Yeah.
And when you do it, you're like, oh my God, I feel good. Like I'm doing something cool.
Fuck
like
yeah,
good
bro,
for
look
me.
at me. But we've mentioned like a person that kind of jumped to mind here as someone that's we're really looking to like capitalize in their weight class was Casey.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So you and Will work with Casey. Like what are a couple of the things that you have addressed with her because she did nationals last year.
Mm-hmm.
She's competing in our May comp. Yep. So what are some of the things that you've done over these last 6 months or so that you've seen a lot of momentum built for her? Because like she didn't win nationals last year, but she's fucking right up there.
She's insane.
Yeah.
I can't
But
believe
she's
it.
like capped out her weight class as well, right? So she's already at
pretty much at comp weight.
Yeah.
But what we've been doing over the last few months is she would get sick a little bit, like quite a bit. So we were making sure that she was consistent with her food and getting in all her main meals, getting in different types of veggies week to week. We also were making sure that she was getting her health subs in consistently.
Yep.
Because, like, you know, people would bring them in and then something would happen, they'd drop off or they'd run out.
It's one of the first things that might go
anytime
when
we talk, I'm like, what supplements are you? I always ask
where are we at here?
Where are we at? Have you stocked up? You
Yeah.
know, comps in 8 weeks' time. Do we have everything we need?
Yeah.
So for her, it was more just consistency with meals and variety and health subs. She was already pretty good with like her diet quality to begin with, but being a shift worker, she would have tendency to miss things and skip meals.
Yeah.
Just because she'd be tired or just
shit comes up.
work long shifts, get called in. So it was kind of like building an inventory of really kind of easy things that she could make up and swap ingredients and sub things out without having to then recreate like a day of eating. It was just like swap this for this.
Yeah. But have you gone through any like dieting phases and that sort of stuff as well?
Yes, we've done that. So before she went overseas, we did do a bit of a diet phase. So she was sitting just above her weight class and then we dropped her below so that she could have a little bit of fun in Bali, relax, and then also to like capitalize on muscle gain too. So something that I would love to do with her, like in her next off season, is do another.
Which will be probably after nationals.
After nationals, it would be do another little diet when she's ready, and then focus more so on like muscle gain because she's already pretty jacked.
Yeah, she's jacked. She's definitely like she's filling out her frame well.
Yeah.
But could she be a little bit leaner? Maybe. Could she have more muscle mass? Probably.
We all could.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, and that's just done slowly and safely over time. It's not like we're going to go and put on like 5 kilos or whatever and then try and cut back. And like,
she's already quite small. So this takes like time. It's not like we're going to see giant drops in weight and like.
Yeah, she's a natural female athlete at 67.5 kilos. Like it's not like you're going to see her as a beast at 80, like the human thumb I made of you.
Like I was.
A little while ago. And then from Will's perspective, I know that a lot of the stuff that he's been working on with her is just like skill acquisition and frequency and just really refining some of the technique and some of her lifts and stuff like that and just having her feel really confident hitting heavy lifts like more often. I know in one of her past preps, I think she failed a few lifts and I think that might have like mentally kind of like rattled her a little bit. And so in a lot of the off season, like before Christmas, like she was hitting, I think, her 1RM for like reps or something like that in some of her lifts because like Will had just worked on implementing a lot more load throughout the course of her week and her training and stuff so that she was, had more exposure to that sort of stuff. So when she gets into a prep, she's like, fuck, I like, this is not a foreign weight to me. I'm not coming in at 12 weeks out having
dawning like, oh God, I've got to hit this.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think she was hitting the other week was like pause deadlifts at what was
160 for
what was like previous openers or something like that.
It was like something by
85% or something like that for paused reps, and Will was just like, this is fucked. And then her partner Kai was like working out what percentages he would have to do to do that, and he's like, fuck, nah.
She's strong.
Exactly. So, you know, all those little things, they're all working in unison to bring a better outcome for the weight class that she's already in.
Yeah.
And then the last point that we've got here, we'll start to wrap this up now. The last point we've got here is just making sure there's any other skills that we can develop.
Yeah. Oh, we missed something. The DEXA, visceral. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Looking at the other metrics that we need to track. Yeah.
So with the optimization in your current weight class, so then for someone, I guess, who is more like athlete minded or wanting to kind of go that next step, because I wouldn't expect this of all of my clients, just putting that out there.
But maybe someone like Casey,
or like Dan Breen comes to mind, like if they want to like go get a DEXA scan, look at their current muscle mass, and then use that as a marker to kind of then improve on and beat. And that's motivating. Like, okay, cool. Like, this is my current muscle mass. Like, so see how I go after 6 months of really trying. Can I put on another, like, and then drop a bit of body fat? Yeah. Like, to me, that's exciting. Because I'm like, oh, it's actual data. Like, it's not me being like, oh, I think I look better. It's like, no, this is the facts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then the same situation with Dan. It's like, could we be a little bit leaner? Yeah. Can we have more muscle mass? Yeah. Those are things that we work on over time. And these metrics will give us, like these data points will give us like landmarks on like tangible data that we can work with moving forward to be like, are we on the right trajectory?
Yeah. And not everyone needs that, but for some people it makes them tick, like, and that's exciting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then there's other things for some people, like blood tests. Like I've got quite a few clients that, you know, are happy with the composition goals that they've got or whatever, but the first blood test that they've had with me, maybe there was quite a few red flags in there, and they're just like, oh fuck, like I really want to work on these sorts of things. And then they'll get a blood test in 3 to 6 months time, and they're like, oh wow, check this out, like this is awesome. Like
me with cholesterol.
Yeah. I've got quite a few clients that, like, when they first came on board, cholesterol markers were not looking too friendly, and so introducing more unsaturated fats, more cardio, more whole foods and grains and all these other things, they're like, I really want to do this because I really want to see these numbers change.
That's it. Yeah. And that's exciting to some people.
Exactly. So looking at all these other metrics, photos, measurements, all that sort of stuff as well. Like I've got clients, most of my clients every 6 weeks, they get a reminder in the app to update photos, because I'm not a sort of person that wants weekly photos. Like I just don't think that's fair.
Weekly is a lot, and same with measurements. Weekly, I feel like getting out the measuring tape, it's cold. You don't want to like.
Yeah, it's more just like to me, it's not a huge driving factor for weekly changes that I would make for someone. But over time, you know, I would expect to see more changes over time. My clients are not bodybuilders where I expect to see large weekly modifications to their
one of my clients finally updated the photos.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my fucking God.
Yeah.
Like if you didn't update this.
Yeah.
And even he was like, shit.
Check me out.
Yeah. I was like, dude.
Yeah, it's funny. Someone that comes to mind, I'm going to throw him under the bus here, is John Breen, Dan's brother. So the first photos that I have with him was like May or June last year. Well, when we first started, I don't know the exact dates, but it was like a mirror photo from far back. He's not quite in the frame. And you can see like he's not an unfit guy or whatever, but yeah, we can improve things here. The most recent photos, it's like towel, like flexing, like, abs out, vascularity. He's like, oh yeah. Like, you know, like someone's feeling himself. And of course we've got snapshots and photos in between where you've seen those improvements, and you can literally see, if I pull it up here, you could literally see the photos get closer and closer and closer, like, and then it's like full flex.
That's like Darcy, my Townsville client, who's prepping for Worlds.
Oh yes,
the first one was like, then the last ones are like, fuck yeah, like,
check me out. And that's like, you want to see that because you see that change in someone over time.
They're confident,
and you want to highlight that. Like I'm teasing him a little bit here, but like, I highlighted this to him. I'm like, dude, this is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like, check you out, man. Like, you look so good right now. And he's like, like,
Look good, feel good,
yeah,
perform
exactly.
gooder.
You want to do better when you
Yeah.
feel good and you
Yeah.
look good. Like
Yeah.
it's
Absolutely.
really motivating. Like that's a, I would say an like external motivator. I definitely wouldn't say that's intrinsic, but it can definitely drive intrinsic behaviors.
And it's a result of delayed gratification.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh my God, look at us linking all this back. I think you woke Bowser up with that one.
Nah, it's the wind. It's picking up outside. Alfred's on his way.
Okay. And so now we can jump into any other skills and stuff like that we want to develop with someone.
Yeah. So I think this is something that not a lot of people, I reckon, give airspace to. But I think a really big one that I find with my clients is developing cooking skills or time management skills and being able to say no, which falls into
setting boundaries.
Yes, setting boundaries is a big one. So
I have a lot of people pleasers.
So do I.
And I point it out to them all the time. I'm like, I hope you realize that you are people pleasing right now.
Yeah, I was like, you're saying yes to shit, but I'm like, you come home and you're in a worse off position and then you feel bad for the rest of the week because you haven't done your washing, you haven't cleared your space, you haven't got your food
or your
ready.
weight's climbed up because you said yes to a meal that you wanted to say no to but were worried about someone else's opinion on you.
Yeah. And I'm like, and this is where I'm like, I encourage you to also be like, well, if you need to say, if you want to do something, you can also put forward a different alternative. Hey, yeah, I can come out and hang out with you, but I just got to do some food prepping or do my groceries first. No one's going to be like, fuck you.
Yeah.
And if they do, they're a shit person.
Them. Yeah. Fuck them. I say this a lot because obviously I've got a few clients that maybe their parents or their family or whatever are like, no, you're beautiful. You don't need to do that. It's like, well, this is really important to me. And I would have really, like, all you have to say is like, look, this is something that's really important to me. And I would appreciate it if you would just like support me through this because this is why it's important to me or whatever. And like, if you know your why and your intrinsic motivation things, going back to that sort of stuff, and you can articulate that to them. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to justify your reasons for wanting to improve your health. Like, that's what I'm like, you are literally trying to improve your health right now or your performance or whatever. Like, you don't have to justify that to anybody. But if you feel the need to, that feel compelled to, and just like explain to someone like, hey, this is just really important to me because I've got nationals coming up and I really want to perform well at that event. So it's not saying no forever. I'm just saying not right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And people need to practice that.
Yeah.
I think it takes practice.
Yeah. And then give yourself permission on times that you have the opportunity to have more food freedom, and then explain that to people as well. And that comes back to like creating mental fortitude and certain soft skills and hard skills. So like hard skills would be like, you know, the cooking and that sort of stuff. And soft skills are just like being able to have communication, like different communication levels, and all of this sort of stuff is just developed over time. Being able to articulate yourself because you understand, like you have a level of self-awareness now that you didn't have before. Like there's intrinsic motivations before, like finding your why, building habits that are more desirable, being process driven, identifying like the momentum and the wins that you're having that delay, all those things. You don't just like get that overnight. No. Like you have to experience losses and failures in order to understand how you want to progress and how you want to move forward.
Yes. Yeah. And I just seeing in our notes too, we talked about like building mental fortitude, and that's how you do it.
Yeah. Exactly. Like you have to suck at something to learn and be better
at it. Yeah.
And like, don't be upset if someone else out there is doing better than you simply because they've experienced those lessons before you have. You know, like if you are coming into a comp and maybe it's your second comp and you're going up against someone, I'm going to like use Will as an example here, that's been competing for a decade. Don't be disappointed if he has a level of composure and self-awareness and like calmness about him that you don't have, because he's accumulated those skills over 10 years that you just haven't got skin in the game. And that is okay as well. Like giving yourself permission to kind of like, you know, be a little bit upset and disappointed that we're human. It's normal to feel that way. But then going like, how can I be a better human out of this experience?
Yeah. And again, using that and reflecting on it and then working on that in your off season.
Yes, exactly. All right, cool. Good chat. Love it.
Awesome.
If anyone has any other inputs or anything like that, or has any other questions regarding our nutrition and our preps and our services and stuff,
Yes.
please feel free to reach out.
Yes.
We've got some more exciting news regarding our nutrition over the coming months. And we look forward to sharing all of that with everyone. Obviously, Jordan's going to be heading away on her holiday very, very soon. So we'll be following along your social stories and all the samurai, what is it, sumo wrestling.
Oh, we're going to the sumo wrestling. I
Yeah.
didn't say that. Yeah, that's exciting.
All the fun things that
Can't
you've got
wait.
planned.
Can't
So
wait.
we'll be following along your socials with
Woohoo.
that. All right.
All right.
But thank you very much. We'll see you on the next episode. Have a lovely day.
Bye.
Bye.